We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Vikings Uncensored Live. We are here. We are in the middle of Tennessee Titans week. We had joint practices on Wednesday, Thursday, and, of course, the game Saturday night. So we'll break all that stuff down. See, we got some guys in the chat room already. Good evening, Reggie, Drew, Davey Goal, Raymond. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us once again. Got a couple of news items we'll hit here first and the roster moves, and then we'll just kind of go through some of the highlights and interesting happenings out of Egan from the last couple of days. And then when we get down to the end of it here, we'll kind of look ahead to Saturday's game, talk about that a little bit. If you guys got any questions or comments or anything like that, throw them out in the chat. We will hit them up as we go along. So with that, why don't we get started? First, of course, biggest news thing, the what would you call it? The disrespect of Justin Jefferson tour continues. ESPN analyst and former Pittsburgh Steeler Ryan Clark said, on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was, that Steelers wide receiver George Pickens is much more talented than Justin Jefferson. And then the collective football world basically ripped him a new one. Then he tried to backtrack on it, saying that Justin Jefferson was the best wide receiver, but Pickens is more physically gifted, which he was also completely wrong with. If you look at the scouting combine numbers, Justin Jefferson beat George Pickens in every category except one. As our buddy Ted Glover posted on the comment thread on Ryan Clark's Twitter feed, a picture of a backhoe digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper every time he says something. So, I mean, at that time he was just he was pulling the Rick Sosa. He was doubling down and doubling down and doubling down and just not a good look for himself. But
out of all the receivers in the NFL, you're going to pick George Pickens.
I mean, and Pickens is a decent wide receiver, but
honestly,
I mean, it was a homer take, and it was something to get comments. He said it so people would talk about it, Drew, absolutely, and he succeeded in that. You mean you basically go out there and say the stupidest shit that you can say so people get fired up about it and talk about it. I mean, it's good for clicks and it's whatever all else. It's not exactly the way I want to do stuff. Good evening, Skull for Life. Happy Friday to you as well, Davey Gold. Why do we even acknowledge these ESPN and media bozos? It's obvious they hate us. Shut up. Fair point. It's Minnesota's flyover country. It's a small market compared to the New Yorks and the LAs and whatever of the world, so we don't matter. Ryan Clark wears assless chaps.
You know what?
Drew, I don't want to know how you know that, but that's we'll save that for Vikings Uncensored After Hours. Happy Friday, Skull for Life. Absolutely. But anyway. Yeah, we'll leave the assless chaps for later. Then there was a couple minor roster moves done in the middle of the week here as well. The Vikings, who worked out several running backs in the past few days, including Kareem Hunt over last weekend, but ended up signing running back Aaron Dykes, an undrafted free agent out of Richmond. Hey, Justin, good evening. Huh?
Aaron who?
Aaron Dykes.
Dykes? Okay. Just wondering. Rhino, are you froze? Am I the only one in here? Hello, everybody.
Okay, there we are. We both froze on that one for a second. Must have been my interweb. But in the corresponding move to make room for Mr. Dykes, kicker Jake Podlesny was released.
So that's officially end the kicking competition then?
I'm guessing so. There wasn't much of he didn't even get a chance in the game to kick at all, so don't know how much of a competition it really was.
I got a question to pose to you, Rhino. What do you think bringing in all these running backs is saying about our running back room right now?
Couple of things, I think. One is that Kene Nwangwu still has not practiced, so we don't know what's wrong with him. They aren't really disclosing it. And two, I think beyond Ty Chandler, they weren't impressed with either McBride or Abram last weekend. So
I think McBride has honestly put himself on the bubble, to be completely honest with you. I hate to say it, but
I'm not going to overreact after one game, but apparently they're not seeing what they want to see in practice either. So
right. I expected to see more, to be completely honest, but
I did too. I thought McBride would have had a good game last week against Seattle, but now he may come out and completely redeem himself tomorrow night. It's hard to say. What's hell's with Kwesi and these Walmart dollar bin pickups? It's guys at the bottom of the roster that aren't going to take up cap space if they don't pan out for a lot of it, I guess. But
I like Walmart dollar bin pickups, to be completely honest.
Saw the other kicker at camp a couple of times. Really was never a competition. Just saying, I don't know how much it ever was either. From what I heard, the kid never really impressed a whole lot. Never get any Vikings media coverage since I live in the New York media market. My condolences, Davey. Now you got to sit and listen to him slobber all over Aaron Rodgers continuously. So I would rather pay Reisner. Yes, David. I agree on that. Seeing the way the offensive line looked against Seattle and some of the highlights from the joint practices, I think they better not have lost Dalton Reisner's phone number. I'll put it that way. But with that, why don't we?
Honestly, before we move on about this kicking situation, Joseph has looked fantastic. Dare I say, this preseason and during training camp as well. So
he's looked like Joseph. He's missed a few, looked really good in some, and shaky on a couple of days. But,
a preseason game, he looked fantastic. He nailed the 54-yarder. It was
and made his extra point too. So
exactly that's what concerns me. These extra points. I don't know what the deal is there. So
but anyway, we might as well roll into the practice stuff here since we kind of already started talking about it a little bit. Starting off on Wednesday, of course, the first day of joint practices. TJ Hawkinson, Brian O'Neill warmed up, but neither one of them participated. Hawkinson, of course, still dealing with that ear infection deal that's kind of upsetting his balance a little bit. Again, no need for him to do anything until the season starts. Same thing with O'Neill, to be honest with you. He's coming off of the partial Achilles tear. So
for these young tight ends like Muse and Munt and Oliver and whoever else there that's battling for those last tight end spots, to get a better look at those guys anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I mean, you know what Hawkinson brings to the table when he's on the field. So
right. Then also on Wednesday, not practicing, Jalen Naylor still out, Kane Nwangwu still out, Brian Asamoah still out, Jacqueline Roy was out, and Garrett Mogg also was out. Don't know if Mogg was ever in, but he's apparently still in the roster. Sounds like on Wednesday, especially, both defenses were kind of having their way for the most part with the offense. Vikings defense, they said, was reading some Will Raggets and a few other people that were there. They said that the Vikings were getting pressure on just about every drop back that the Titans did. So that's
out of a Flores defense. That's what we're going to see games where we blitz 14 times, I bet, or more.
I think blitzing 14 times will probably be close to an average.
Right.
Ryan Clark is smoking something. Yeah, I think very possible in his assless chaps. And Brunswick just about spit his Mountain Dew all over the screen there. But then again, on the offense, of course, with Brian Asamoah out again, Ivan Pace was getting – hey, Ken, good evening. Ivan Pace was getting runs exclusively with the ones the entire Wednesday practice.
We've been singing his praises all offseason, and it's coming to fruition, fellas.
And Kevin O'Connell was asked about Pace after that Wednesday practice, and O'Connell said straight out, he's not battling for a roster spot. He's battling for a starting spot.
Yes.
Gave him the gold star. Even on one play there, everybody's talking about how Pace is undersized and whatnot. Ivan Pace dropped Derrick Henry like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah. I love it. Showing for sure.
I mean, you got, 5'10", 230 or whatever it is.
He's playing Pace, like he's 6'3", man.
Yeah. That guy is literally a freaking cruise missile.
I love it. It's a great find.
Does Pace beat out Asamoah because of him being out so long? According to Darren Doogie Wolfson from KSTP in the Cities today, I believe it was he was on Mackey and Judd or whatever, one of their Score North shows today. He said from what he is seeing and observing that as it sits right now, Pace has moved ahead of Asamoah on the depth chart.
Right.
Davey,
I think ideally what you want is, Sam Mills.
Absolutely. Very good comparison there, Davey.
Zach Thomas, another good example. Ray Lewis was kind of small for a middle linebacker as well.
Yeah, Ray Lewis wasn't nowhere near as small as Pace is, but Pace is, he's the small stuff for some of what he does probably helps him because he can shoot the gaps a little easier and there's, it's a smaller target for the offense coming through. But he's been taking guys on 30, 40 pounds bigger than him and not having any problems with it whatsoever.
Well, yeah, I seen a manhandle a 300-plus pound offensive lineman last weekend on the preseason game.
Beyond Pace, Danielle Hunter has been making his presence known out in the joint practices. On Wednesday, he was in the backfield quite often. He had at least 3 sacks on Thursday. David, it would be the green dot guy once Hicks is gone. I believe it will be. He wore the green dot in the preseason game last weekend. Guessing he will again this weekend. I fully expect 2024 it will be Hicks and Asamoah as our starting middle linebackers. But
that's the ideal thought. And both those guys are sideline to sideline linebackers as well.
Mm-hmm. Another interesting aspect. They said the most common defensive lineup they were doing was they were running a ton of the big nickel. And when they were doing that,
saying that too all off season.
Yep, when they were doing that, Metellus was coming in as the third safety. So they're
safety looks, man.
Yep. Of course, Scene was running it with the twos, but right now Metellus is running it as the and Cam Bynum is still the other starting safety. So
right.
Didn't get your opinion on what you thought about Scene last week. I kind of talked about it a little bit on rants on Monday, but
I am not impressed, to be completely honest with you. I wish that Scene was outplaying some of these first string guys, but he's not. I mean, as far as last week's preseason game, and from what I'm hearing out of practice, is that he's looking like he's a backup guy right now. So, I
mean, he's showing some flashes of good stuff, and then I think during the Seattle game, he looked a little tentative in a couple of times when he went in to go make a hit. So
he did have one good tackle, and that was right away in the beginning of the game. And then after that, I've seen some bad angles and being out of position, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Other than that, on the offensive side of things, one more defensive. Mekhi Blackman appears to have moved into that third cornerback spot now. Then, of course, depending upon, we'll see what happens now because on Thursday, he late in practice walked off the field with some sort of a shoulder issue.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's not serious, so they expect him back fairly soon. Same thing with Jordan Addison. We forgot to mention him. He's not practicing because he was exhibiting some minor concussion-like symptoms, so they're taking it easy on him, but they kind of expect him to be back on Monday, the last I heard. Like Scene to have a breakout season, but not looking too promising. I mean, it's early yet.
It is.
I'm not overly impressed with what I've seen out of Scene, so what I've seen from Scene so far, but it's still early. But he's got a long ways to go if he's going to crack the starting lineup, which we kind of all expected. Or, and I'm not going to go back to the we should have stayed and picked Kyle Hamilton thing, which we should have stayed and picked Kyle Hamilton if we wanted safety, but can't go back and undo that one. So Theo Jackson looking good. He likes to hit. Yeah, he's had some good marks out there. Over on the offensive side of thing, though, on Wednesday, they did get the offense got a little bit of stuff in. The 2-minute drills were not good for either team. Both Vikings 2-minute drills ended up in interceptions. Kirk threw one, and then Nick Mullins had one batted and intercepted. One-on-one drills, though, they said the Vikings wide receivers were absolutely having their way with the defensive backs. Tennessee secondary is not good, and they didn't get any better over the off season the way it sounds. Watching some of the stuff, I mean, who was it? Tristan Jackson had a couple of nice catches. KJ Osborne was doing quite well. Jalen Reagor still looking very good, which still surprising.
He might make the roster the way it's looking.
Especially if, Naylor's been. They're not going to cut Naylor, but him not being on the field for hardly any of training camp. It is. No, it's not.
Naylor has injury concerns going back to college as well, which is concerning to me.
Yeah.
So,
how long we're going to be covering for Scene? That remains to be seen. Okay, I'll stop with the puns. That's Thomas, good evening. If I hadn't said so already, a lot of wide receivers looking good. Going to be some tough cuts. Yeah, there's going to be guys, I think, that obviously are not going to make our 53 that may get poached before we can get them over to the practice squad.
Yes, absolutely.
other than that, some of the stuff with the offense on Wednesday was kind of attributed to the fact that there was like a 30-mile-an-hour wind blowing down there at practice too, so it was making things tough. Seen as a first rounder, he gets longer leash. That's absolutely true, Drew. They're not going to cut bait on especially since he's the first pick that Kwesi made.
Right.
Do you guys think Booth and Seen were desperation picks by Kwesi to bolster up the dreadful secondary?
But by all accounts, speaking of Booth, he has had a great week at practice this week.
Yeah, he didn't play well at all in the game against Seattle, but sounds like he's looked very good in practice. He had, I think he had 3 interceptions in practices in the joint practices this week.
Yes, and it's about damn time.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully he got the kick in the pants that he needed, and we'll see him show out a little bit here on Saturday. But what were they desperation picks? I don't know about that. I mean, we needed defense. We knew we needed defense. Booth, by all accounts, on many places was tabbed as a first-round pick. He's just had injury concerns, and
they still are lingering.
They're still there. GMAC, good evening. But yeah, there's a lot of these, and the Vikings have been bad about this. Spielman was bad about it too. Picking up a talented guy somebody with injury concerns, and they got to start taking some of this stuff into account. If these guys are injured all the time in college, they're probably going to get injured in the pros too. And you can't help the club if you're in the tub. I mean, we've talked about that how many times?
The D-line here, David's saying there. I thought our first unit last week, and obviously wasn't our complete first unit.
Well, yeah.
I thought it looked good.
Yeah.
I thought the interior of the defensive line looked much better.
The run defense I thought was very good on last Thursday.
And there was questions coming into that game about how that interior of that defensive line was going to look, and I thought they stepped up to the occasion.
What if it's a hot tub time machine? Well, then we can go back in the past and pick up the purple people eaters and bring them back and put them on the roster now. Or John Randall or Prime Keith Millard or somebody,
Right.
The only other big thing, I guess, take out from Wednesday that I had, Ryan Wright, when he was kicking into the wind, was kicking 80-plus yard punts. He had one that went for 90.
I want a Wright jersey.
I wish they'd let him go back to wearing the 66 though.
I thought it was funny that Kirk put it on. That's great.
Yeah. What was it? Last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Number 66 was. Of course, that was right the day after Reisner was in for his interview, and Reisner wore 66 in Denver. So that was.
Kevin O'Connell has cracked the Da Vinci Code on Kirk Cousins, in my opinion.
Yep. Well, we'll roll that into Thursday's stuff because there's a prime example on Thursday. Kirk Cousins was standing out doing with the wide receiver drills, and he ran a route, caught a touchdown, then he went and did the gritty across the end zone. It was kind of.
I love it. It might have taken him 4 years to get to that point, but he got there, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, I think Drew, it was you in our Gallerhorn group that said something today about the fact that you never would have saw any of stuff like that when Zimmer was around here.
Not at all. Yeah, KOC has been the best thing to happen to Kirk in his career as far as the NFL goes, in my opinion.
Yeah. David, what's this I saw about Jared Allen working with Sean Payton in Denver? Yeah, I saw that too, and I'm not going to comment on it because I don't want to go sick. I don't want to go down to Sean Payton as a fucking prick rabbit hole for the next half hour, 45 minutes, because I could do that, and we all know that we could steer off that cliff in a quick hurry. But otherwise, back on the Thursday, Zimmer also wears assless chaps.
Oh man, the theme of tonight's show.
Yes. Training camp and assless chaps. That would have been a great. You should have told us about that before, Drew. That would have been a great title for the little thumbnail for the show on YouTube. Right. Speaking of YouTube, if you have not done so, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, make sure that you hit the bell as well so you never miss an episode. Did he freaking the Blue Oyster? Oh God, that's a blast in the past. I haven't the old Police Academy movies.
Yeah, Darisaw is quietly becoming one of the better left tackles in the league.
Yeah, Darisaw, that was that Wednesday or was that Thursday? That was on Thursday that he did that. He it's number 40, whoever. I didn't get a chance to look that up and see who that was. Yeah, he absolutely destroyed that guy. Hey, Anthony, good evening. Currently watching Heather Graham and Assless Chaps.
Ooh.
I can understand it if you go watch Heather Graham and Assless Chaps instead of watching a couple of asses talk about assless chaps, but you know. Speaking of getting absolutely leveled, in the one-on-one drills today, Titans defensive lineman Tierra Tart absolutely destroyed Garrett Bradbury, threw him like 5 yards out of the way. If that would have been there would have been a quarterback back there, he would have they probably had to go get the cart for him. G-Mac wins the comment for the night so far.
Yeah. Fuck. That's funny.
But Garrett Bradbury did get a matter of revenge a little bit later on in drills, because he actually drove Tart to the ground during a run play, and then Tart got pissed off and jumped up and threw a punch at him, which got him ejected from practice.
Oh my God!
Because
you know what? The thing with Bradbury last year, we were hearing horror stories out of training camp too. But when the season came around, he went on and had one of the best seasons in his career, or the best season of his career,
until he played against guys like Dexter Lawrence and.
Yeah.
I'm still not sold on Bradbury being a long-term solution in there, and Bradbury's still a gimpy turnstile. I hope not. But he looked like it. I mean, it wasn't even a turnstile on on that play. It looked like a tornado that grabbed a screen door and ripped it off the side of a house and flung it a quarter mile down the road.
I mean, speaking of a few years ago, we didn't even have a right guard out there. You might as well put a fucking folding chair out there for a right guard a few years back.
Yeah. Of course, you talked about Mekhi Blackman left the during one-on-one drills, did something to his shoulder, went back to the training tent for a while, came out onto the sideline, stood there for a bit in obvious pain, and then left the field completely. But from reports afterwards, doesn't sound like it's anything too serious, so he shouldn't miss too much time. Again, like we're talking with the wide receivers, Tristan Jackson got two touchdowns in red zone opportunities. The 2-minute drills looked much better on Thursday for the Vikings, at least. The one drive, they started at the 45-yard line, down 6 with like 45 seconds to go. Kirk hit KJ Osborne 3 times, and I forget who the other hit, another wide receiver in there, but got Osborne for the touchdown. Another scary injury late at the end of the game in the 2-minute drill stuff. Caleb Evans collided with, I think it was Metellus, going across the back of the end zone. He got up and was going to go back into the huddle again, but KOC pulled him out.
Yeah.
Matt Burke knows that lightning comes from the sky. Reisner played center in the Senior Bowl. Yeah, he can play center. He can play guard. I mean, just for the
fucking sign him already.
for the flexibility of having the guy on the roster, I would sign him. And, the way it sounds, we saw last Thursday that Ed Ingram played in that preseason game, and it sounds like he's probably going to play again tomorrow night.
The one thing that really is upsetting to me is, how much time we've spent on the offensive line this offseason at all? Next to fucking nothing.
Yeah. Well, we moved guys around. We moved what's his name into guard.
You know how well that worked out with Zimmer, though.
Yeah. Our swing tackle from last year. Who the hell is it? Why am I drawing a blank on it? No.
Brandel.
Blake Brandel, yeah. So
let's get somebody injured. Why are we not signing Reisner?
I don't know. What does he want? Too much money? I don't know. I've heard that he wanted to guarantee that he was going to start. Well, if you look at our guards,
give him the goddamn guarantee. Give him the guarantee.
He's a pass blocker. Cleveland's not a pass blocker. He's a run blocker. And the only thing that Ingram seems to do well is step on the quarterback's foot.
No, make it a competition. Make it actually a competition there on the interior. Then just give him the starting spot and then make him fucking compete. But I mean, make the other guys
beat him out. Yeah,
right. That's our Achilles heel right now. Is that offensive line?
Totally. Well, yeah, the interior part. Yeah,
doing everything this year.
Well, right. I mean, you've got a quarterback who is a pocket passer. He's not mobile. We all know that. But yet you don't do anything in the interior to be able to create a pocket for him to be able to step up into and throw.
And then you get Reisner in here and you let him walk away. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Skull for Life on Twitter, he's urging Vikings to sign him. Yeah, he was doing liking a whole bunch of stuff that was Vikings related and stuff the other day. So I think he wants to play here.
I believe so too.
But
James Lynch moved to center.
I don't know that James Lynch ever played center, but he's on IR now anyway. But could have signed that guard from the Eagles, but we didn't. I don't remember which guard that was.
It doesn't matter. Reisner's out there, wants to play here. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, well, and Andrew Norwell's still available out there too. The Commanders let him go. He's older, but still
would be better. Matter.
If he would be better at pass protection than either of the guys we got.
Yeah, I am worried the most about the offensive line. That's the unit that worries me the most on this entire team.
Yeah.
Outside of the bookends, everything else in the middle they're just tossing it in the air and hoping that it works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why.
4 years of seeing the same shit over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't bring in somebody who is better. I mean, Chris Cooper, our offensive line coach, played with Reisner in Denver. So, I mean, he knows the guy. So unless there's something there but if there was something there that would say that we don't want to sign him, why did we bring him in the first place? It's baffling to me. That's my biggest concern of anything on this team right now is that interior offensive line.
Yes.
Haven't we learned anything with whoever we want, we never get? Missed out on Ronald Darby. I wasn't as concerned about or sad about Ronald Darby, I guess, as maybe some people were. We don't want good players.
No,
apparently not. Especially not on the offensive line. They take that old saying, guards don't matter, to heart, apparently. Guards don't matter except when you have ones that get your cement overshoe quarterback killed on a regular basis.
It matters when you're playing against fucking Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah. Kenny Clark and guys like that
eat guys like our guys for lunch.
Right. But yeah, I mean, we can go on about the interior offensive line for ever.
With that
I mean,
being said, though, Rhino, I think that, just off the wall, I believe that defense is going to be night and day.
I think so. And, from everything we've seen from the defense so far, it's good. It may not end up being a top 10, top 15 defense, but the defense is going to be fun to watch this year.
It will be.
It's not going to be
defense.
It's not going to be the let's drop back and pseudo prevent defense 90% of the entire fucking game. It's going to be we're going to be throwing guys at the quarterback every chance we get. I mean,
we're a lot more speed on that defense this year as well, and it's going to show on the field.
I mean, we're gonna give up plays. There's going to be breakdown stuff like that. I mean, you put these cornerbacks on an island. If you don't get home on the pressure, of course, you run that risk of getting burned. But I think,
but if you get home on that pressure,
yep,
that's huge.
And that's the thing,
and by all accounts, these guys are getting home a lot in training camp and practice.
Yep, they said they were making life miserable for Tannehill today or yesterday.
What we preached last year is I want teams to be afraid to play against our defense. Not like they're looking forward to playing our defense. I want them to be scared for once again. I think our defense has been the laughingstock for far too long now, especially in our division.
Yep. Well, I think, Danielle Hunter is going to have a big year this year. I think I'll go out on a limb right now and say Hunter's getting 15 sacks plus this year, at least 15. Harrison Smith is going to absolutely thrive in this defense, I think.
Top 15 defense, at least. At the bare minimum, in my opinion, this defense is going to be top 15, and that's a huge jump in one season.
I've been saying somewhere between 15 and 20 is where we're going to end up, and I still think if we can get to there, I think that's going to make a huge difference, and I'll be happy with that. So, sign Reisner after week 1, then his contract's not guaranteed. I don't care if his contract is guaranteed or not. If you don't get him in here now,
and you don't let him get week 1. He's off the free agency list before week 1 even hits before we even hit week 1 of the season. In my opinion.
The thing that concerns me is, okay, he's not. If you're planning on bringing him in, but you're waiting to do that, he's not in here getting reps with the other guys. Getting that cohesiveness together with everything else. You're not just going to grab a guy off the street and just throw him in there.
Why haven't we signed J.C. Treader yet? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Drew will love that one. Drew, speaking of Drew, he asked, where would we rank the defense mid-season between 1st and 32nd?
Flores' defense, they typically start off slow. But by the time mid-season comes around, I'm going to say between 15 and 20 by mid-season. But by the end of the season, I think we could be top 10. So
I'm not going to be that enthusiastic about it. I think 15 to 20 is where we end up at the end of the year. I think I said before, like 17, 18, somewhere in there. By mid-season, I'm going to say probably 22.
Yeah, J-Mac, I don't think our cornerbacks could play any worse than what they did last year, honestly. I have not seen cornerback play that bad in a long time. I'm out of Minnesota anyways.
Well, and it wasn't necessarily so much the cornerbacks. It was just that they were backpedaling and giving up, 10-yard cushions right off the line of scrimmage every freaking
time. When the offense knows what you're running every single fucking play, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So
last year we obsessed about Treader. This year it's Reisner.
Exactly.
The thing of it is, there's nothing wrong with Reisner. Treader had bad knees and was older too. Dalton Reisner is a clear Treader was a clear improvement over Bradbury.
And Reisner should be just entering the prime of his career, to be honest.
Yeah, because he's the same age as Bradbury. They came out of the same draft class.
Yep.
So they're 25?
Why the fuck have we not signed him yet?
I don't know.
Once again, in this episode, why have we not signed Dalton Reisner?
I got a call into Quasey, but he hasn't called me back yet, so I don't know. Anything else we missed in the comments here?
We have cap space.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Hunter's deal ate up a fair amount of what we had, but we still have enough. And Quasey likes to do his void years. If you want to sign, I mean, myself, I'd sign Reisner to at least a 2 to 3 year deal, because we know that Cleveland is going, he's a free agent at the end of this year, and we aren't. I doubt we're bringing him back because he still wants to play tackle.
And get a shot at the left tackle position.
Yeah,
that's my thought on him.
Why hasn't anyone signed Reisner yet? That's a very good question, GMAC. So I don't know if there's something out there that nobody's saying. Because he's a good player. It's not like he's awful, or he's
there's rumors
injury prone.
His character as far as a teammate goes, but
he didn't he shove Russell Wilson on the sidelines last year or something?
There's some issues with his temper, I guess.
Yeah, but you want a nasty asshole at your guard spot.
Yes, we do. We need a nasty asshole on our offense.
It's like Steve Hutchinson made a career out of. Off the field, Hutchinson was a hell of a nice guy, but on the field, he was an asshole.
Well, he let his play do the talking.
Yeah, but you need that nasty on your offensive line, especially in that middle. I don't care. Nobody is ever going to convince me otherwise.
See, I thought we were going to get that out of Alex Boone, but excuse me, Alex, if you're watching. But we never brought that. He never brought that to the interior of our offensive line. It's sorely lacking. Our interior offensive line needs a goon in there for sure.
Yeah. Well, and we haven't had that since Hutchinson.
Exactly.
Our guards have sucked ever since Hutch left.
Fusco we had some decent average guards, but nothing.
Yeah, but there wasn't anybody that was that nasty son of a bitch that just went out there and beat the crap out of people for 3 hours every week.
Right. Stunting and twisting on our asses and just getting creamed every time.
Heard he got into scuffles with teammates. Yeah, like I said, the deal with Russell, but the way Russell Wilson was last year and that attitude he had, I'd have probably thrown a punch at him too. That whole Denver team was a shit show last year. Hutch had a real mean streak. Yeah, and like I just mentioned before, I want mean, I want nasty. Like what Darisaw did to that dude in drills here the other day, basically whipped him off to the side and ate his lunch and took his money and all that other stuff. We don't have that in Bradbury. We know that. He's not even, he's like a chihuahua. You might sit there and yip, 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 but you can just shoo him out of the way. And
I'm not ready to give up on Ingram, honestly. I'm really not.
No, and they're not going to.
Better as the year went on last year.
They're not going to give up on Ingram because, again, he was a relatively high draft pick last year.
And he got better as the season went on. But I would rather not see him stepping on Kirk's foot for sure. But
yeah,
if
and
he continue to develop,
and if he comes in and it's ends up being Cleveland and Reisner as the starters, Ingram can sit back, watch, learn, whatever for a year.
I think the team is getting a personality overhaul as we speak. The main concern is the interior of that offensive line. Yeah. I like where this team is going as far as personality goes, but it does scare me that the interior of that offensive line needs somebody in there that's going to bring the nastiness.
Yeah, the personality of the defense has completely been overhauled since last year.
Yes, exactly.
And now, some of the stuff I've been watching, some of Kirk's interviews and stuff he's been doing the last couple of days. He came out and said the other day, one of the talks he had with the whole team, or at least the offensive side of things, is telling the guys, and we said this all of last year, that they need to get out and get up on teams in a quick, early, so that the defense can pin their ears back and go do their thing.
Right. That's crucial, is getting those points on the board when we have the ball. That way that defense can afford to be aggressive and just make offenses crazy.
Well, yeah, we can't be going into that shell for the second and most of the third quarters like we did.
Drives at midfield pisses me off.
Yeah,
you get a good drive going, looking good, and then midfield comes around and it's 3 and it's you're done.
Yeah,
yeah, Conrad Dobler for sure.
Mm-hmm. Does O'Neill play week 1? They keep saying he's on track to play, so I think he does. I think they're just being extra careful. He's been practicing in pads. Just in the team stuff, he hasn't been doing it in the joint practices, but I think they're just being cautious with him. Unless he has a setback of some sort, I expect him to start week 1.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Guards take a couple of years to develop usually, unless you're Quentin Nelson. You're absolutely right, Drew. Hopefully we see that development in year 2 with Ed Ingram. But again, I don't want to just sit around, cross my fingers, and put my eggs in that basket, hoping it happens. That's kind of
what it feels like is going on, honestly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like they always say, hope in one hand, shit in the other, and see which one fills up first. But.
Exactly. But I see a lot of good things coming out of Jefferson as from a leadership perspective too. This offseason, as far as being more vocal, like he says he would like to be, because I mean they've asked him, what can you do to be better for this team, and he says, just be more vocal with these guys, with all teammates, not just his receiver comrades, but with all the teammates, because that shows if you're doing that with everybody, the offensive line, your quarterback, your tight ends, and getting people pumped, that's team leader right there.
Yeah. Hey, Nick. No, we went live at 6:00, same time the show always is on Friday. Mondays are at 7. But yeah, one thing I know that Jefferson had said that he's trying to take Jordan Addison underneath his wing as much as he can, because he said, he wants to do with Addison what Thielen did for him when he came in.
Jefferson's the epitome of what you want in a star player on your team, honestly. A franchise guy. Just the attitude. He's not causing ripples like Diggs was when it was getting close to his contract years. And just being the best version of Justin Jefferson and the player in general. And he's going out and doing it, and I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, we are so blessed to have a player like that on our team.
Davey, this is a Keith Millard jersey. But yeah, with where I just had a thought and then I lost it. Oh yeah, Jefferson, he's getting into some chirping battles with Jair Alexander already too.
I'm still pissed. That still pisses me off. That play where I don't know how he got away with that shit, but he did. And I can't wait to see the revenge game that Jefferson has against him.
Yeah. And I think Jefferson will be even more motivated than normal that first game against Green Bay. And I think Jair Alexander is going to have his hands full that day, especially if we've got KJ and Addison taking up snaps in the other places.
And that's not even mentioning Hawkinson.
Right. But Alexander's not going to be getting any safety help over the top. If he wants to prove that he's this elite guy, he's going to have to take on Jefferson one-on-one.
I mean, this offense needs to believe in itself, because this offense is capable of being the best offense in the league.
Definitely top 5. I mean, if we're not top 5, it's going to be a disappointment, I think.
And then one thing that's holding us back: why haven't we signed Dalton Reisner yet?
Yeah, but you're not wrong. And we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. That interior offensive line could be what kills this team this year.
Yes.
Last year it was the defense, and but the defense was so bad it overshadowed what the interior offensive line was doing. I mean, Kirk was the most hit quarterback in the league last year and played half the season with bruised ribs. So
why haven't we signed Dalton Reisner yet?
I don't know, Lance. They haven't called me back, so I got the call into Quasey, but like I said, he's I'm sure he's busy. He's got things going on, but
they're watching us right now is what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. So, Quasey, Kevin,
why haven't you signed Dalton Reisner yet?
Yeah, give us a call. We'll bring you on the show next week if you want to come on. We'll talk about it. You can you can come on here and announce the signing if you want to do that. That'd be awesome. But
the official podcast of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes, there you go. Who is the person behind Lance?
That'd be Delvin Cook, Randy Moss, AC.
Yeah. Maybe you had a ghost standing behind you. Who knows?
Maybe he was wearing assless chaps too.
Yeah. Reisner trade for Zach Martin. They just got Martin signed down in Dallas, so he's not coming here.
You know what? It might not be a bad idea to
made you look.
No, but seriously, I'd be down to trade for a guard too. I mean,
yeah, but if we're gonna give up draft capital, it better be a damn good guard. I don't want to be giving up a second round pick for some middle ass guard someplace. Not Dalton Reisner's behind Lance. Evening, Jer. So I don't know. Maybe if they think they're going to wait and see, if some guards get let go at cut down day that are fit the bill of what they're looking for. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they got a wink, wink, nod, nod with Reisner, and that's why he's been kind of liking Viking stuff. I don't have an answer. I wish I did.
That's the one thing that I'm most concerned about going into this year is that interior of our offensive line. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, and Tennessee's got a pretty good defensive line. So I think this game on Saturday, and I'm sure they saw quite a bit of it during the two practices, but the game on Saturday, I think that's going to probably tell these guys a lot whether or not they need to start looking a lot more.
Jaron Hall was running for his life last week during the preseason.
Yeah. I mean, the starters aren't great. The third and fourth stringers were terrible.
Step back.
Yeah. Oli Udoh looked like the Udoh of old.
Yeah.
Alan Ali didn't look too bad. He had some decent, all right plays in there, but nothing super jumping off the table. I thought Vidarian Lowe looked good at left tackle. That was good to see. I think he's going to be the number one swing tackle this year, I believe.
I liked what I seen out of Villan on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, that was and I talked about him on Monday, but yeah, get your thoughts on that since you and I haven't done a show since.
I mean, it was a surprise to me. He was one of the guys that I wasn't really thinking about beforehand, and then he came out and made some plays. Thursday night. He was one of my three guys. Between.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him for 30 seconds. We probably should go back to him, but. Anyway, back to Villan.
Ty Chandler, Villan, and Pace were my three guys that had the great game last Thursday. Chandler looks so smooth, in and out of his cuts and just fast. Looks to be a good compliment to Alexander Madison, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I'll throw one more on there too. I want your comments on Jalen Reagor.
Oh, on Reagor? Yeah, he's been looking great. He's making a strong push to make the team when I thought that he was an absolute on the way out. Yes, easily, David.
I think he's definitely the front runner as it sits right now.
And you know what? Carter looked good too on Thursday night. Not having practiced for basically the offseason.
Yeah, he had a couple of good plays. A couple of times he was out of position, but that's to be expected because he hasn't practiced much.
It's me, Luigi.
Yeah, I think if Villan shows out like he did last week again this week, I think
Troy Dye. Get rid of Troy Dye. What do they see in Troy Dye? I'm sorry, Rhino, I cut you off, but I'm so sick of Troy Dye being on this team. I do not get it.
They like him for his special team stuff.
I do not get it. But yeah, special teams, whatever. Get rid of him.
Yeah,
I don't care.
It's going to come down to Dye's going to be fighting for a roster spot at the middle linebacker because we're only going to keep 4 linebackers. I'm pretty sure.
I do not like when he comes out on defense.
No,
I cannot. I mean, he's had some splash plays in the preseason, but he has looked completely atrocious when we've needed him during the regular season.
14 watching, 6 likes. That doesn't add up. I agree, Justin. So if you are watching and have not done so, please give us a like. If you're watching and haven't subscribed, also do that. We're coming up close to an hour here. Anybody else have anything that they want to discuss here before we call it for the week? If so, speak now or forever hold your peace, or at least until Monday's show.
No.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to call it for the evening. Can you get a shameless plug, Justin? Absolutely. Would you be surprised if Carter doesn't make the 53?
I would be.
I think unless he doesn't show out much and they just try to put him on the practice squad for now, Luigi Vallon, I think, is going to make that decision a little bit harder because you've already got Marcus Davenport, Daniil Hunter, Patrick Jones, and DJ Wanham fighting for those spots. All right. Purple and Gold for Days. Our buddy Justin will be on at 8 p.m. live with his buddy Rap on another show there. So go over to his show as well. If you have not subscribed to Purple and Gold for Days, please do so. Justin is a good friend of the show. We do a lot of cross collaborations. Great guy. A lot of information. We haven't done anything for a while, so we're gonna have to do that again here.
Absolutely.
Before the season starts.
We'll work that out.
Yep. Also, go out, check out all the other guys out there. Of course, Drew and Ted over on Vikings Report with Drew and Ted every weekend. Then they do their live shows immediately afterwards with Christopher Gates of the Daily Norseman. Again, Purple and Gold for Days, Minnesota Sports Talk, and all the other Vikings First and Skol, the Real Forno Show, all of those that our buddy Dave and Tyler do over there, and 2 old bloggers with Darren Campbell and Dave Stefano. All great information. A lot of guys that have a ton of knowledge about this team.
We plug everybody here.
I've been saying this ever since we started. If one of us succeeds, we all succeed. We're all in this together because we love talking the Vikings. And, we're going to keep doing it as long as people keep watching. So, again, thank you, everybody in the chat that joined us tonight. I'd run through all the names again, but we'd be here for another 10 minutes. If you're out and about this weekend, of course, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. You can look us up, watch it again. If you're just watching for the first time, again, thank you very much. And again, next week, full slate of shows. Monday night, Rhino's Rants. I'll take a look at some of the highlights and spicy tidbits from Saturday's preseason game against Tennessee. Brunswick's Best to be back on Wednesday, and we'll have another regular studio show next Friday. So with that, thank you again, everybody, for watching. And Lance, why don't you take us home?
Quessy and KOC, why have we not signed Dalton Reisner yet? Get him on the phone. Thanks again, guys, for coming this week. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Tell your friends about us. Keep spreading the word about Vikings Uncensored. We want to continue to grow and get bigger. We got some things that we've been discussing here lately that we will bring up in the next few episodes. And with that being said, we'll see you next week after this weekend's game. Skol.
Have a good weekend, everybody.